Welcome to Here's What Matters. This is where we take the biggest news stories of the day. We're going to pause a question and kind of break down everything you need to know. Let's kick it off with the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse trailer. Listen, Venom came out this week. We're going to do a review of that later. And if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, don't worry, it's coming. But at the same time, Sony was like, all right, let's not hedge our bets with this. Maybe we'll put out a trailer for the thing that's like, this is the golden goose for Sony.
Do they know that?
I think they have an inkling.
Okay, I was going to say, because I agree with you. I don't know if they feel the same way, but they should, because this trailer is delightful.
It is so good. And so, you guys, if you saw it, you know it, but we also have some clips that you can look at. They'll be playing throughout this video. But we're seeing the story play out of Miles is going to be trained by Peter Parker from another universe, who is like Peter Parker. We're even getting hints of like Sam Raimi's movies stuff.
Yeah. There's homages. There's certain scenes when he's talking about like, hey, you know the story. I saved the city and stuff like that. It's not exactly the same, but there's kind of homages to like the Sam Raimi movies.
You get the train. You get the upside down kiss.
Yeah, you get the car coming through the window, but in this version he just punches it right back out.
Which, if there was a dude in there,
let's hope not.
That's just a.
But it is so like
high five that dude just flat.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's so the energy in the trailer is so much fun. The different we get introduced to new Spider folk,
which I think we knew of from Comic-Con, but we hadn't seen.
We hadn't seen them yet. We knew that they were coming, so we get a brief look at Spider-Man Noir, voiced by Nicolas Cage, and you get a brief snippet of that. We get more of Spider-Gwen.
That's two animated superhero roles for Nick Cage this year.
I love it. Yeah. More, please. Thank you. We get more Spider-Gwen. We see her out of mask. She's part of the band.
Haley Steinfeld, which is cool.
Great. And then we get what might be the standout of the movie is Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you did miss Penny Parker, too.
Oh, Penny Parker. Yeah.
Who is Spider.
Sure.
It's a girl who is like symbiotically connected to a mech suit, which is super cool. And I think what they did was to kind of switch up, because I believe Spider was inspired by the Evangelon.
Probably some anime. It's definitely anime influence.
Yeah, so I think what it looks like to me is I interpret it as like them kind of cashing in on Diva from Overwatch. The same basic premise of a young girl using piloting a mech like that. It looks more like
and
Diva's
fine. And then Spider-Man Noir, they changed it up, so he's got more of like the trench coat and the fedora, which is more like old school noir detective. Yeah.
And it's cool because not only that, but they're all rendered out differently from what the rest of the characters in that world are like. So like Spider-Ham looks like a 2D cartoon. Penny looks like an anime character. And people are like, Noir looks different. I think he just kind of has like grain to him, so he looks like black and white basically. Which I hope he takes off his like mask and it's like black and white like Peter Parker, which would be amazing. Really cool.
But again, let's not gloss over the fact that Spider-Ham is going to be in a major motion picture coming to a theater near you.
John Mulaney is voicing him. It's
and he gets one of my two favorite jokes in this trailer. But there's a lot of fun things, and I will say there's
sorry, I saw Roxy's question about the purple dime. Those are bits. Those are what bits are. Those are. See that now that because you don't have glasses, you can't see what's in the chat.
No, I had no idea. And but one person put a bunch of bits, and then the next person was like, "Oh, we're starting early this week," and I was like, "Oh, is that some kind of fight sign?"
Oh yeah, Courtney and Kat get they go neck and neck with bits. We already have 300 bits from CD Clyde and 101 bits from Kat. We'll see who comes out on top. But continue.
Yeah. So there's a lot in this movie, and I think if I have any concern, because not only do we get this trailer, I don't know if we want to reveal where, but we've seen a clip of the movie, and it is delightful.
It's so good, and it's so like the humor's so tight, and like the way they show the world and the animation, it's
so creative and interesting. My only concern would be, as I'm worried about Miles getting crowded out of his own movie, because not only do we have a bunch of Spider people, we have a bunch of villains. We have Kingpin, we have Green Goblin, we have Scorpion. There's a brief, you pointed out to me, there's a brief Tombstone. You can see him very briefly in the trailer.
Oh, there's so many cool characters. But
Prowler.
I think I'm gonna do a deep cut movie really quick. Do you remember? Michael Keaton was in a movie where he started cloning himself, and all the clones kind of started getting dumber and dumber. Okay, so if anyone remembers that movie, and I apologize for not having a name, the basic premise, it sounds, the way I think of that movie is the way I think of this movie, where it's more like he has the main clone he was pretty great. He's actually kind of better than the main guy.
Great.
And so he kind of takes over his life and does all the things you want. But then he's like, well, I don't want to do everything, so he clones himself, and that clone clones himself, so it's clones of clones of clones, and it becomes like worse. Basically, I think it becomes like, it's like, like a crack in a dam where water starts spilling out, and like, oh, there's a problem, but we still have to fix it. In that movie, there's still a threat that's not about the clones, but the clones are helping. I think it's the same thing where it's like the small scale crime that's behind the reason the Spider-Men are showing up. I still think it's not going to get too confused. I see your concern.
It's just the only concern I do have, because otherwise it just looks amazing.
Because the only way I think it could get maybe more confusing is if they added more Spider people, which got me thinking. I'm like, what Spider people like. Let's go like balls to the wall, because they're doing Spider-Gwen, who's like probably, I think, just in pop culture, the most popular Spider-Woman, minus that controversial cover of Spider-Woman from a couple years ago that made her look like a monster. It was just like, how do we show her butt and her boobs at the same time and her lips? And it's like, well, you make her look like a monster. That's how you do it. Yeah, I remember that Marvel. Everybody does. But Spider-Gwen's gotten a lot of good press, and she's really so popular. And so I get why they're doing that. But I wanted to actually ask you guys out there on our Discord, which you can join going to patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. Actually, if you're watching live on Twitch, you can see that. Also, if you're on YouTube, there's a little thing that pops up, which is kind of cool. See, I'm covering my bases. Any hoozles. You guys send us your thoughts on Discord and on Patreon about who you'd want to see in this. And I know you have a suggestion right out the gate.
This one's a pretty obvious one, because he's also a pretty popular Spider person, especially for kids, people that grew up at the same time I did. I'm obviously a big Ben Reilly fan, but I didn't think he'd add... It's not too different from older Peter Parker, you know what I mean? So I'd like to see Spider-Man 2099. Because he's from the future, so his view of things will be different. He'd have a different personality that would, I think, gel well with this group of spider people.
Oh, fun Easter egg. So do you remember during the trailer, you see Peter teaching him Miles how to use the web thing?
Yeah.
Did you see what's on that little computer they're stealing?
No.
It's the Alchemex logo, which Alchemex is the company that Miguel O'Hara is always going up against.
And Spider, and it's just a cool, like, I remember the 2099 stuff was really cool for me as a kid, because it was nice. It's like Batman Beyond a little bit. Like, it takes popular versions of characters and imagines them in a dystopian future, like a Blade Runner-esque future. And I think with how creative they got with like Miles' new costume design and the little tweaks they made to people's costumes, I think they could do something really fun with Spider-Man 2099. Like maybe give him like a glowing spider or something like that. Yeah.
Or like maybe since he is a Hispanic character, maybe you could like, and I think there's like elements of like the skull and stuff like because of that. Like maybe you could lean into that, maybe simplify the costume, but like still have that stuff in there. There's different elements you could do, but for me, and this actually goes along with a lot of people in our Discord, but I want to make sure I read out their names as well, because I would love to see Silk pop up. They've already talked about that Sony wants to do a Silk movie of some kind, but her big debut was in Spider-Verse in the comics, and she's such a fun character. But also Kate on the Discord is saying that Gary even has a little picture which I'll load and hold up, because just Silk has like such a cool costume, and her solo series didn't get enough love. It did drop out because not enough people read. Also, Supermac agrees. Cage96 in the chat here and on Discord's agreeing with you. But also they're throwing out Superior Spider-Man. That's when Doc Ock took over the brain of Spider-Man. I don't know if you read during that time.
Yeah, I read a little bit.
A lot of people love that character.
He's a cool character. It's a cool. It's weird that he's coming back, even though there's a Superior Octopus comic. Anyway. That might be too complicated. Unless, here's a question for you. I feel like this is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. If this does well, we could get a whole, like, this is a Miles movie. We could get a Spider-Gwen movie. Maybe we could get a Superior Spider-Man movie. Do you think they would do more, quote-unquote, spin-offs of these other Spider characters into their own movies?
Because it would be such a smart move. Sony wants animated projects, and like Cloud with a Chance of Meatballs is an example of that. And that's another Phil Lord, Chris Miller written, and that was directed by them, and it was so good. I wouldn't mind it, and I think it's a really good idea. Spider-Ham might be a little too out there, but if he becomes like fan favorite, you could definitely pitch an idea.
Even then, you could do like Spider-Ham shorts and before the movies, because he's supposed to be in like a Looney Tunes-esque universe, right? So you could do like an old school like Looney Tunes Merry Melody short before your Spider-Gwen movie or something like that.
And like there's even more characters you could dip into, like, and if you went full like wait, the character that was on the tip of my tongue, let's see if it's in here. Oh, Man Spider. That would have been funny if it was Danny DeVito's character from It's Always Sunny. No, it's Man Spider. Totally different. What I was going to say is, no, you could see that for like the different Spider-Women. You could see that for Silk as well. But for like this movie and sequels, like if you just went with Miles being the star of it, which I think, please do that. That's a really good idea. I would still want to see Silk. I would want to see Superior Spider-Man, and 2099 would be really cool. But go into the original Spider-Woman, which would be really cool. And there's a bunch of Jessica Drew, and you have other like Spider-Women that are more like arachnid looking too, which are really cool. I think that's where I'd want to go. Are there any other characters you'd want to see?
No, primarily Spider-Man 2099. I wouldn't mind some Ben Reilly love, just because.
What about Kane? Who's Kane?
Kane is
Ben Reilly,
like,
right?
He's another one of the clones, but he's like the mean one. You know what I mean? But now they've kind of made Ben Reilly the mean one. It's weird. All the clone stuff is weird.
Yeah. And I do like if you do like the alternate stuff where you can see like Uncle Ben become Spider-Man.
Yeah,
he's really interesting.
Some of that fun stuff. There's a lot of different fun takes on the character. As long as you don't, right? As long as you don't Spider-Punk. As long as you don't crowd out like I wouldn't mind a series of movies that are focused on Miles. Give us a series of movies focused on Gwen Stacy as Spider-Man, and just as long as the other characters don't crowd out those.
It would be really smart for them to show the PlayStation Spider-Man to show up. I think that'd be really, really, really smart.
I mean, you know, they could do a classic what everybody wanted in Infinity War, where like all the heroes show up for just one final thing. Yeah. Like you could do all the Spider-Men, and he could be one of them. There's an Easter egg of him in the trailer.
Yeah, and that's really cool. But like, what if you got like you tease what Spider-Verse is about? It's in the comics. It's about them fighting these vampires that suck the spider blood.
I don't need that, by the way.
But if you did want to go that far, you're not a fan of those characters. Other people do like them, and like so if you did like a sequel that was dealing with more like Spider-Verse is getting a little crazy, introduce more characters, like you had the Spectacular Spider-Man from the cartoon show.
Oh wow, that would actually make me so crazy happy. You have no idea.
The Ultimate Spider-Man that was like a cartoon character who was always like breaking the fourth wall and talking to people showed up in Spider-Verse, and he would still do the same things he would do in the cartoon, and everyone was like, who's he talking to? Like you could have jokes like that if you wanted to. And I know they have all those Disney shows that are Spider-Man based too. So if you took that animation style and threw it in there, that's when you can start to have a lot of fun with it. And if you had like some more video game inspired ones, like the Ultimate Spider-Man game that we really like, or if you had like go further back and do like Ultimate Carnage, is that one of the games too?
Maximum Carnage.
Maximum Carnage. If you had like that kind of 8-bit style too, you could dig real deep into like Spider-Man history.
In this movie, it appears that the impression I get from the trailer is that Kingpin's doing some shenanigans that have created an interdimensional rift.
I'm so stupid. The one you need is the Japanese Spider-Man who has the wrist gauntlet.
100%.
Okay, so if you guys don't know, there was a Spider-Man show from like the 70s.
Live action Japanese Spider-Man show.
But he's not like, he doesn't get bit by a spider. It's all alien based. It's super weird.
It's more in line. He has a Zord. It's basically if Spider-Man was a Power Ranger.
Yeah,
and it's amazing.
There's some history that Spider-Man, that one, may have inspired the creation of the Power Rangers too, which is kind of fun.
That's great.
The Spider-Man costume like pops out of like a giant wrist gauntlet that he wears all the time. It's so silly. Please go look up a clip of that. But we want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the Discord or in the comments down below who you would want to see most of all, because there are so many characters like Spider-Man India, which is really cool. I like his costume a lot. And there's even weirder genre ones that you could pick from. Let us know in the comments down below. Roxy, are there people in the chat saying fun stuff?
Tons of things going on in the chat right now. First of all, shout out to this bit war, which is crazy. Everybody hashtagging Sam Cheats. I love you guys.
Oh, cool.
Hashtag Roxy Beats. Hashtag Sam Cheats. So I'm really appreciative of that. It wasn't Sam Beats at all. I didn't just lie to you guys on air.
Sure.
And then also there was a couple of everybody's talking about Silk, obviously. A question from Cage96, which I don't know the answer to. Maybe you guys do. Who was that old lady spider that was essentially attached to all Spider-Man? I forgot her name, but she was in Shattered Dimensions.
Madam Web.
Okay, well,
she shout out. I would imagine this person was exposed to her the same way I was, which was the Spider-Man cartoon in the 90s, and she was weird.
Well, if you guys want if you're dying for a Madam Web movie, let us know in the comments down below.